I have guests joining me on this broadcast. Pranay Upadhyay with me. Also with me is Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor and, of course, my colleague Sandeep Unnithan. Air Marshal Kapoor, it's a world exclusive. We're all very excited about it. President Putin spoken on a number of issues. What would you want to hear him talk about? He's spoken of India-Russia relationship, and he's also commented virtually on everything from Europe to America. Is defense hardware something that you'd be keen to hear on?
Absolutely. Gaurav, and good morning to fellow panelists and your viewers. This visit is going to be a remarkable achievement if it turns out into a long-term strategic engagement with the Indian defense industry. If you recall, we just finished Op Sindoor a little over 6 months ago, and the equipment which stood out and helped us the maximum were S-400s, BrahMos, and their integration on Su-30. And incidentally, all of them are Russian technology. Now, coming forward, the adversaries on our west is being supplied with the 5th generation fighters, and our AMCA operationalization is over 10 years away. We need to bridge this gap and also the shortfall in our squadrons. The Russians did bring their Su-57, so did the Americans during the Aero India in February this year. But we need beyond that. We just don't need to buy the aeroplanes. How much is Russia going to part with it is the next question. S-400s, 2 more batteries are needed. Plus, we are looking at S-500s. That's informally, which I have gathered from my interactions. So if S-500 is brought on the table for discussion, and if Russia blinks, it will be a game changer in my appreciation.
Okay. So, Sandeep, are we looking at 2 squadrons of the Su-57s and just 2 batteries of S-400s, or are we looking at 5 batteries of S-400 and talking about S-500 too? What's the conversation that's happening right now, and at what stage are we there?
Well, Gaurav, very clearly, India wants the S-400, more squadrons of that, at least 5 more, in addition to the 2 which are already under delivery. We have 3 squadrons. The plan all along was to have around 10 squadrons of the S-400. That is going to be implemented in phases over the end of this decade. The S-400, as Air Marshal Kapoor mentioned, is a game-changing system, and that was undertaken by this government despite great international pressure, Kartha sanctions, all of that. And BrahMos also, Gaurav, quickly, that was a missile that was given to India at President Putin's behest. It's a political missile as well. And I have heard this from none other than Shivtanu Pillai, the father of the BrahMos missile project, who told me it was President Putin who actually pushed the BrahMos missile for India. And he denied the same to China. That's a very interesting take that he had on this. But, coming back to your question, Gaurav, yes, all of these are on the table. The S-400 is there. The S-500, which is actually an anti-ballistic missile, an anti-hypersonic missile system. It can even take down satellites. It's a very capable system. There is no equal to the S-500 anywhere in the world. It's also called the Prometheus. The Sukhoi 57 as a 5th generation fighter aircraft also is, talks are underway on how we can, absorb the technology for this, possibly buy a few squadrons or more. And this is a program, Gaurav, that India has already paid for. If you recall, more than $270 million have already been paid by India for the development of this program. So it is a program where India has already been part of. It's a different matter that a few years back we took the decision to step away from it to try and speed up our own 5th generation indigenous fighter aircraft program, the AMCA. But today there is a lot of talk about a possible way forward with the AMCA and the Su-57 coming in together, the technologies that the Russians can bring in for helping the AMCAs, speeding up the AMCAs development. And of course, that option of 2 or more squadrons is on the table, Gaurav, as a stopgap, before AMCA can enter squadron service, Gaurav.
Before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha, former director of the National Security Council Secretariat, joining us on the broadcast. Pranay, President Putin, in conversation both with Anjana and with Geeta Mohan, was very clear. It's Europe that's going back. the impression is here's a world leader who's very calm, who's very calculated, and who's very clear that he's in the right, it's Europe that's in the wrong, and he and America are trying to find a solution. Now, what are we picking up from Washington, D.C. in terms of the conversation that happened between Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and President Putin and their team?
Let me give a sneak peek on this mega scoop by TV Today Group. President Vladimir Putin was very candid as far as his opinion about President Donald Trump, his approach towards the Ukraine peace plan, and many other issues. He spoke extensively, and it's like a no holds bar kind of an interview, but very interesting interview that would be coming up on TV Today network today. But as far as the Washington D.C. approach towards this interview, and as well as this, his India visit is concerned.
Give me a moment. I'm cutting across to Aaj Tak. Anjana is giving us some details. Let's quickly dip in.
पुतिन को लेकर उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की वही प्रशंसा की कि वो भारत के बारे में सोचते हैं, भारत के हित में सोचते हैं। एक बात तय है कि चाहे वो रक्षा का क्षेत्र हो, चाहे वो ऊर्जा का क्षेत्र हो, वो ये चाहते हैं कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा व्यापार भारत के साथ हो, ज्यादा से ज्यादा डिफेंस डील्स भारत के साथ हो, ज्यादा से ज्यादा आने वाले वक्त में ऊर्जा का क्षेत्र हो, स्पेस का क्षेत्र हो, हर क्षेत्र में हम कैसे रशिया के साथ एक बेहतर रिश्ता बना सकते हैं, इन सब पर उन्होंने बातचीत की। और ये साफ दिखाता है कि वो चाहते हैं नए सिरे से भारत और रशिया की जो सोच है, मतलब अगर 7 दशकों की दोस्ती की दुहाई दी जाती है, तो वो जमीन पर कैसे नए सिरे से पूरे विश्व के लिए, एक नए वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर के लिए, एक नए बदलाव के लिए वो आधार बने, इस पर उनका पूरा जोर था।
Okay, so I want to once again bring in Dr. Tara Kartha into this conversation. Dr. Tara Kartha, what's happening right now, and not many have noticed the third aspect of this. So, President Putin was meeting the Americans. He gave an interview to India Today. And President Putin was also meeting the Chinese. So, is Europe going to feel very left out? There's something happening that Europe may not be party to right now. And that's perhaps happening for the first time.
That's first and foremost, congratulations on your fantastic scoop with the man of the year, right? This is the visit of the year, the Putin demand. So on your question, Gaurav, that's a very, very interesting question. See, so far as we've seen in the negotiations, it is China advising Russia, India doing a quiet, talk of no war, not time for war, talks from behind, that is also going on, and the US. The Europeans are nowhere to be seen because they are the ones who are pushing Ukraine to war. Here is Germany in serious trouble. France is in serious trouble. There's a rise of right wing. And all they can say is, no, this war has to end on Ukrainian terms, no shift in territory. That is not going to happen. I mean, I'm really sorry for the Ukrainians. They have, after all, it's their country. But let's look at the reality. The point is, even for our sakes, we have to end this war. Because there's a lot at stake, which we'll come to later. But this war has gone on long enough. And I think I understand from what I picked up is that the Witkoff Russian, the dialogue with the Russians has gone fairly well. I mean, and Trump, for all his the things he says, his position on this has been very clear. He said NATO should never have expanded towards Russia. For that, I will give him full credit.
And you don't see a U-turn happening there. And he doesn't want to fund this endless war, which he anyway calls Biden's war